Hello everybody. In this video we are going to be learning about arrays. Actually, it's going to be the last video for a specific subject in this term. This is going to be like the last thing that we're going to learn. So I will will recommend to everybody to put a lot of attention. Let's start thinking about a little bit in arrays, how to work with them, how to play a little bit with them, and what can be done, what cannot be done, how to structure. You will see, we will doing a lot of stuff in there. So let's actually dig in a little bit. We will follow in pretty much chapter 8 in your books. We are not seeing everything by itself, but the most common case and the most usage just to understand the function or the capabilities that we can do on the arrays. So as you can see, I already have my command type it in. So I will create a new console application called arrays. And let me actually open it. Remove, open, and as you know, I like to have tabs to sizings, and I like just to put the things a little bit closer. Very much, and do this. Alright, so perfect. Open the terminal. .NET run. Hello world. Perfect. Everything is as it's supposed to. So what is arrays? Arrays is a group of information or the data that is going to be saved in a particular variable, and we have an index to actually reach that particular value. So all those arrays actually have a type. Let's say, for example, if you want to array of numbers, integers, we need to declare something like this. Let's say 5, 8, 13. So here we're declaring a numbers array. That array will contain integers. Let's see the definition here. So we are actually opening the square bracket, and then we give it 3 different values in curly bracket that will actually give those assigned to numbers. So then we can actually retrieve that information. For example, numbers 0, 2, and 1. Let's actually print this. Arrays always start with an index, and you need to have an index to achieve or to get an array value. And if you remember in Python in your last class, that actually happened pretty much the same. So all the arrays always start with 0. It doesn't start with 1. It starts with the position number 0. So the array 0 position is the first value, the array 1 position is the second value, and the array 2 position is the third value over here. As you can see, we achieve 5 getting this one, 8 with this second one, and 13 with the last one. Really important. What happens when you are outside of your array number? You have a handle exception that cannot be created or cannot be run. So it's something that we need to actually take a while that this get executed and this make your program to break because you have a problem index out of range exception. Okay? So just FYI. Perfect. But this is how can I say it? This is an array that has been assigned. You want to have a more dynamic array, you can have something like, instead of doing, let's actually, let's keep it this. So let me just comment it out. Let's assign it again. Numbers equal new integer 3. This is another way to declare a new array. In this array, what we're doing is we initialize the class integer and giving 3 different values, 3 different sizing. And what we printed by default, our random number is equal to 0. So in order to start assigning, we just need to start working with those. So for example, if we need to the numbers 1, number 0 is going to be equal 5. Numbers 1 is going to be equal 8. And numbers 2 is going to be equal 13. Now we have the same values as this one. This is when you have your array assigned over here. Of course, you can also have your array like that and get the values for the real line. So you can say something like cons, let's do a for integer I, where I is less than number dot length, I believe, we are going to be increasing I in there. So we can do something like, actually let's remove this and we can do something like this. Console.writeLine, and we can print numbers on the index I. If we execute, we have the 5, 18, and 13. So we're clearing the array, we're assigning different values, and then we loop through that index. The array length gives us the total number of elements in a dimensional array system. In this case, it's going to be 3. So we're declaring my array length is actually 3. So it's going to be looping and increasing the I one by one. So the first iteration is actually printing number 0, that way we have the 5. The second iteration is printing numbers 1, that is the 8, and numbers 2, that is the 13. When it finishes, it actually get out. We can do something a little bit different when we don't know the length, so we want to use that. There's another one that's called for each. We can use the var term. Var is like an open variable definition that is going to be assigned until you give it something. So it's like a generic type. So we can say number in numbers, and we're going to console.writeLine the number. Please note, this is singular, this is plural, this is plural. Okay, if we execute, we have the same value. But what happened with the for each and what happened with the traditional for? So traditional for, we declare the index and we move through the index and we iterate to a specific element. When we need to actually iterate to all elements, there is another function, though. Another property we can use is called for each. And for each, as the name is, for every element that is inside a specific group of element or a collection. So we define a variable number. In this particular case, could be actually integer number. Look at this. This is singular. That is inside. That is in numbers. Numbers is my array. So more likely, when you put an array, it's very common practice to have it in plural and then individual items in singular. It's a very cool practice. So what you're going to do, number is going to be assigning each element from numbers. and we will iterate and move along those specific element. So when we write line a specific number, we get it like that. Of course, this is not the only way to assign values. We can let's actually delete this, and let's actually delete this too. And let's please give me the number. The number. And let's actually iterate. Like with the number. And let's say number. And actually we need to have a counter. So let's actually put it over here. Integer counter equals 0. And we'll say it is going to be loss plus counter. The interpolation. And it's going to have you know what? Yeah, I did something wrong here. For each is really helpful for submitting something or for showing information. What I want to show you actually right now is how to pull up that information inside. So for that we actually need, let's forget all this, and we need the traditional for loop. So with the traditional for loop, where we have actually the numbers length, you can actually say console write line string interpolation please value of number I plus 1, and then numbers I on that specific index is going to be equal integer parse console read line. And then we just iterate through for each. It's going to be integer number in numbers console write line number. Perfect. Number 1 is going to be 5, it's going to be 8, and it's going to be 13. Boom, and we just print the thread numbers. So we can actually assign the values. As traditional, we can assign any value to any variable, and we actually establish the index inside the square bracket. There is a way to actually put those numbers and inside there and achieve this kind of information. But it's not the only way also to do it. We can have that iteration a little bit bigger. Let's say we can actually have console.write line. Let's actually write how many numbers do you want to save? And this is, let's do something crazy. Let's see if it works. Integer.parse console.read line. Let's save some lines in there. Perfect. Let's do here console.write line empty, just to jump on it. And here let's do the string interpolation. It says number I. Well, actually, let's just keep it like that. So number. Yeah. Now this is going to work. It looks a little bit crazy, but let's see what happens. So like, how many numbers do I want to save? I want to save 5 numbers in there. So because I give it that 5 numbers, I declared my index variable the initial value, the initial sizing of my array is going to be 5 because I declared it like that. I'm actually put my 5 there, my 8, my 13, my 17, and my 21, let's say. And then I can actually print and move along those specific number. If I do it again, and this time I do, I don't know, for example, 6. Okay, let's 6, and let's say, I don't know, random numbers 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, and 42. And we just print it again over there. And if you understand the reference, pretty cool. Sorry, that's just a joke. So, actually, if you understand it, put it in your assignment, and you will have extra points for that. Okay, let's continue. So this is a way to actually save the numbers. So we declare the numbers, and we give in a console read line. This is pretty much exactly the same as doing something like integer, numbers of numbers, I don't know, whatever, equal this, and then I initialize my array with the numbers of numbers, something like that. What I'm doing is just being lazy, actually, and saving one line of code, because that doesn't need, in my case, I don't want it to save it in any other place. Oops. There you go. And that's how I can actually save it. And we can have different section of numbers and that array to be increased. But it's not the only way to have an array. There is actually also multidimensional arrays. Those multidimensional arrays are actually those arrays that can have more than one dimension, as the name say. This is a traditional array, and let's do some kind of. Okay, let's remove all this, and let's start over. Let's do a system to actually save student information grade, and we have the average. And I know the book has some kind of example like that, and they have different ways and methods to create it. I will take an approach that just came to my mind, probably going to be similar, probably not, I don't know, but it's going to be a functional approach using actually two-dimensional arrays. So let's say you want to save how many students will have. Console.writeLine. We can say something like, how many students do you want to grade? And we save this in integer students equals integer.parse. In this case, I need a number. That's what I'm saving it. So console.readline. And let's be a little bit lazy again. And let's say how many grades per student do you want to grade? And it's going to be grades and console pipeline. So we are going to declare how many students we have and how many grades. They say that we have 10 students and we're going to grade 3 different grades per student, so we can move around and doing this information. So let's create a new integer, two-dimensional. I will show you this in a bit. Student grades equals new integer of students grades sizing. This is a rectangular array. A rectangular array have a definition of how many rows and how many columns. So imagine this as an Excel spreadsheet. We have different students in a specific row and different grades. Of course, the indexing always starts with 0, and there is a way to actually always define that 0 in there. So let's start moving around and let's start assigning our particular grades in there. Let's say for let's say for a student equals 0, where the student is less than students, we're going to be increasing that particular number. That's why I save it like here. Another way to have it is actually to read the first column, but we can see that later. And we can set here for another for you for grade. In grades, we will be increasing the grade, and we're doing things here. Let's actually use console.writeLine string interpolation, going to be student grade, and you will see this actually working. Okay, we are doing something wrong. Okay, we are not closing it. Perfect. And let's just save on a space because I hate extra space there. Perfect. And let's execute. So how many students? I want to grade 5 students and 3 grades per student. Oh, the indexing, we need to move that. Student 0 grade 0, student 0 grade 1, 2. It's actually 3 grades, the ones that we want to grade. And these patterns repeat for each student that we have. Cool. So let's actually do a +1. That's why we always put the +1 in here. So we keep in the 0 for referring the index, but actually showing it is we're showing the next number. That's why we have that +1 in there. But we do it like that in order not to increase or sell the value of student or the value of grade. So we're keeping the same value, just to showing purposes we increase it by 1. In the result we don't save it that increasing %. Let's execute again. Let's simplify 3 students to grades. There you go. Student 1 to 3, grade 1 and 2, each one of those students. So here is when actually you can do the read line and you can assign that student specific information. Because I'm lazy, for quick purposes, let's do random r equal new random, and let's say that instead of do something like a student grades where a specific student, a specific grade equal an integer parse blah 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 blah, and be keeping all those records in there. Let's actually do r.next, and we declare something from 50 to 101. That means that the less is going to be 50 and the biggest number is going to be 100. Remember, it's always one number below where we put it there. Let's actually define that grade and put it here to see what grade was automatically attached to that particular student. We do it again. Ooh, we have an issue. And let's verify what we did wrong here. In 1325, new random is a function. It's a class. We run it. Perfect. So let's do 3, 2, and we assign grades automatic to our students. Perfect. Now so we have the grades assigned, let's actually have the final grade, and the final grade is going to be different. So student grades is going to be this one, and then do an integer, actually a double array called final grade. That is pretty much the average of the 3 grades. There's going to be a new double size of students. Each student will have his own student grade, final grade. So let's create a little double total equals 0 to initialize something. Okay, total plus equal pretty much this. And then we say outside the grade, when we are in the student section, we do a final grade of my particular student. Remember, we are in the loop inside the student section. It's going to be equal my total divided by how many grades do I have. Perfect. Now outside here we can actually put console.writeLine, and let's jump a string, a line, sorry, to final grades are, and this is console actually. And here we can do a for each. For each final grade in final grade. Actually cannot be a for each because we need the index. When you need the index, we need to go with traditional for. So let's actually remove the for each. Let's do the for. Yes, let's keep the index like that, where final grades dot length. It's a little bit different. Why didn't I like it? Oh, this is final grades. It's final grades. Perfect. And this is going to be here. Cool. Console, WriteLine, string interpolation, student index is pretty much the student where we are. Got final grades of that particular index. Okay, let's run it. Let's keep it simpler. 3 student 2 grades. So we can see, let's do the term a little bit bigger. So the first one get a 57 and 85. That is an average of, oh, again, we need to the plus 1 here. So let's I plus 1. Remember, it's always that plus 1 to showing purposes. 3, 2. Perfect. So you get an 82 and 88. You have an average of 85. 72 and 54 have an average 63. And 73 and 66 have an average of 64.5. Perfect. We are getting the student final grades and we put in there. Let's actually do the letter grade and we can actually start recording those. So let's do an enumerate. Let's do a private enumeration letter grade, and it's going to be A equal equal 10. Let's keep it like that, and I will show you. Let's keep it 100. So B, actually we can do A equal 92. Remember that. Oh no, we cannot do that. How can I achieve this? Let's think. Let's put the lower grade that each one of these letters should have. So, whoa, sorry. So the lowest grade that an A to have is a 90, a B is an 80, a C is a 70, a D is going to be a 60, and an F is going to be a 50. Let's say for this particular case you cannot have less than 50, and I'm actually in my random number saying that the lowest grade assigned is always going to be 50. So we have the enumeration there. Perfect. Now let's actually use a math function in here. So we know that the math function floor, what it does is getting a specific double sign, and get it to the lower string and the lower integer that we can have. So we can do some kind of math in here. Let's say grade, let's say a double grade equal this. Let's start playing with our grade. Grade equal grade divided by 10. What is going to be doing this is that grade we're going to convert it. You have like a 95, it will convert it to 9.5. If you have a 86, it will be converted to 8.6. Why we are doing that? Because we're going to hack a little bit this specific function, and then we can do the grade is going to be equal math.floor. We have a decimal, perfect. And let's actually give the grade in there. So now if it was a 85, it's going to be here, it's going to be changed to x.5. This is going to be changed to 8, and then we can do a grade equal grade by 10, returning this. This will hack a little bit. This is just a little bit hack. To you have a 95 converted to 90, you have a 56 converted to 50, you have a 78 converted to 70. So we can actually do has from letter grade or specific grade. It's called letter grade. How we call it in enumeration? Yes, it was a letter grade. Oh, letter gate. Let's put that letter R in there. Okay. If we run it, we'll have a 3, 2. Student 1 take a D, student 2 take a B, student 3 take a C. Perfect. Now we have the average, we convert it, and then we assign it with the letter grade in a really more quicker format. Now, just for the purpose of this particular video, let's do this a little bit more pleasant. To be sincere, this looks a little bit ugly. So let's actually do the grade. It's going to be equal this one divided by 10. Final grade is already double, perfect. And then from all this, we're going to be executing the math floor. And then everything is going to be multiplied by 10. And I can delete three lines. And if we run it again, 3, 2, we have it working. So 65 and 97. Let's actually we have the letter, we have the like that. 3, 2. So 88, 28 to 98. The average, of course, is 88, so it's okay. That means it's a B. 65 is a D, 69 is a D. So if it's working, and we do it something like this, let's say 6 students, 8 grades, we have the assignment a lot bigger, and it's still doing the calculation as it's supposed to be. Perfect. This is pretty much how you can play a little bit with arrays. There is another something really important. This kind of arrays is a rectangular array. You both have actually the jagged array that actually works. Rectangular arrays is when you have a fixed rows and columns. A jagged array is when you have each row have different kind of columns. So it could be like a student 1 have 5 grades and the student 2 have only 3, but the student 3 have like 10. So you can have like that dynamic sizing. Pretty much it's a little more complex, and for the purpose of this lesson, let's not dig in that information. And this is how we're gonna save it. Okay. Pretty cool, right? And keeping all together just to simplify things. Well, we can do a lot better. Let's get back to the main and let's see what is this mean. So by default, the main function takes a string of arguments. So what are those string of arguments? It can actually give it that information when we execute the system, and those arguments are already saving whenever we put it .NET run and something in there. Those arguments are the ones that are going to be there. So we can do something like this. Let's say that we need to actually 2 different arguments. You will have something like this, I remember, I believe so. So let's say this is actually an array. So arguments dot length is not, we want 2 different arguments. It's not 0, it's not 2. do something. Will not work like that. How can do this? Can we do something like this? Probably. So the one line not please provide all argument should be two integer values. Let's ask for that. Let's save, it will run it. Boom. Expected, it's not doing something, so we cannot do this. And let's do an if then. If this we put this, and let's remove this extra space that I hate. Else, and let's move this. Whoa. Sorry for that. It's moving too far. Let's actually move this at the end. Pretty much here. And everything that is inside that, we just need to pump it up a little bit with that tab until we need to go back. Perfect. Yeah, perfect. So if we run it, we have please provide argument should be two integers. Well, integers value is going to be there. Well, let's remove this line. Let's remove this line, and instead of reading for the console, we'll still parsing it. We're going to get the arguments 0, and we're going to get the arguments 1. Boom! What is this? So we execute it, we have the error, but we do 3, 2. We have 3 students, 2 different grades. Voila! So this is what I mean that the string from the argument, everything that is going to be passed when you execute it, do not run, and whatever you put it here is going to be parsed. It's going to be saved in this particular arguments variable, and then we say, okay, the first element, the element 0, is going to be in this case the students, and the grades is going to be the arguments 1 of the second element. And we can actually see it running. Let's execute again. Let's do 9, 3, 9. So we have 3 students, 9 grades per student. We have a little more complex mathematical function there. And I believe I can flag, no, sorry. Let's do, I believe F2. We do something like this. No, decimal 2. Let me check. No, it's not like this. Probably this one. No, it's not that one either. Let me just verify. Only something like this. Oh, perfect. And we do 0, 0. We will have perfect. A lot better. So here, my double, I'm formatting to be in the format of integers, and doesn't matter how only 2 decimals. It doesn't matter if it's still 0, 0 in there. When you have pound, pound, We can see it over here. When it's an integer, it doesn't show those decimals in there, but just for this purposes I want to show it like that. So we can actually play around and do something crazy as 15 with 28 grays. Boom, and get the validations that we need to have and have it right away. So perfect. So this is the video lab that you will need to be showing it to me. And please just attach the CSS file. Hope that you like it. Happy coding.